Hi, everyone. This is the new episode of this podcast, and today's my guest is Chason Forehand. He's a driving force behind HR consultations and hr4u.org, which is dedicated to crafting fair employment practices and championing inclusivity. But I would like for you, Chason, to talk a little bit more about that. Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, sure. So one third of American workers make below a living wage. Half of the people in my state of New York in the United States make below a living wage. So our nonprofit is on a mission to change that stat and to change those statistics. And the way we do that is kind of a three-prong approach. We have a grassroots methodology to bring people together to talk about this and communicate with others ideas for how to combat it. We also instruct and teach leaders how in their own businesses to become better leaders and put people first so that we can start paying living wages to people, which will take care of other socioeconomic issues within our country and other countries. And we do that through our Time to Change podcast, our Stand Up for Change live events, our People Initiative. So a lot of videos, a lot of conversations, a lot of information that we put out on LinkedIn and Instagram and other social media entities so that we can instruct people, we can teach people, we can bring light to what works, what's not working, and how we can do better. And that's really the mainstay of what we do. Our most aggressive program that we're hoping to launch and get off the ground in 2024 is called Transformation Kitchen. And that's actually taking all the components that we do and putting it into a culinary production kitchen where we take people that are underserved, we teach them culinary skills, we teach them power skills. Some people call them life skills. We like power skills. And we give them a living wage through this process so that we show other companies, especially in the service industry, that it can be done. And we take care of food insecurity, people that are struggling with housing, and other socioeconomic issues, as well as our mainstay mission of fighting for living wage. So that we're real excited about what the future holds for us.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And you said one third of Americans are living under the living wage. Is that correct?
One
One
third of
third of
all
all.
American workers make below a living wage. That means they are not making enough money to take care of the basic needs of housing and food and all utilities, things that you need on a daily basis to take care of yourself and your family. And that's a tragedy.
Wow. He also said about 50% in the state of New York. Do you have any statistics? I'm just curious about, is it more in the rural areas or is it in cities, in some neighborhoods? How does that work?
You know who's done a great job of this? If you go to MIT, not only do MIT and Harvard have done great studies on this. Both of them have a living wage calculator where not only have they calculated for each area, because it depends on what county you're in and what area you're in. It changes here. And in other countries, it may change by the city that you're in. You live in one city and the city, costs more to live in than another city. And that's the same in the United States, but we've broken it down into counties. And by doing that, using their calculators and using the information that they have, you can see what areas are doing a better job and have challenges that they need to take care of. But in general, when you look at general terms and you look at the United States as a whole, we're talking about one third of the population that works. And in New York State, we're talking about 50% of the population. That's taking everything. That's not just New York City or the concrete jungle. That is every part of the United States, every part of New York State combined. And so those are tough statistics. There are other states that are not that are doing even worse than that because of where they are and what they do with their minimum wage. And sometimes pushing that minimum wage up helps with some of this, but minimum wage and living wage are two different things. So the federal minimum wage has not changed since 2009, and the federal minimum wage in the United States is only $7.25. That's a crime. It's a complete and utter crime. So what we look at is getting past the rhetoric, getting past trying to ink policies, and getting leaders to learn that when they put people first, when they start paying their people a living wage, they're actually going to make more money because their business is going to lose less people. They're going to retain more people. The people are going to be loyal. They're going to be more productive. And guess what happens when you've got loyal, productive, engaged employees? You make more money. So it really makes financial sense for leaders to pay a living wage to their people. And that's what we're trying to get the message out and show more of.
Yeah, and that's a very exciting mission because you do really connect the social aspect of it with the business aspect, because companies will make more profit if they invest into their people, if they pay them more.
Absolutely. There, you know, people a lot smarter than this old hockey guy have done a great job of laying it out. And MIT, like I said, and Harvard Business School and Cornell and other places have done a really great job of listing, hey, here's what happens. Here's case studies. Here's a living wage calculator that you can use. Here's what makes sense. Unfortunately, not enough leaders are buying into this process. There are more and more that are getting on board because they see the ramifications. We see all these layoffs. We see all of these struggles where they have not put their faith in people and they've paid the top 1% of the company almost like a pyramid, where they've paid all the executives X amount but not taking care of their people, and things happen. So how do you change that? You've got to change the mindset of leaders and how they do business. And we're trying to communicate that message that, when leaders put people first and they care about the people that are in their company, guess what happens? You're going to make more money. You're going to be productive. Your people are going to stay longer. It's win, win, win. And even your clients, when you think of it from a client standpoint, if I'm a client going to your company and I keep seeing the same people over and over again, there's a comfort to that. I feel good because I know I can trust that person that I've developed a relationship with. It's different if, hey, I'm the client and I come to your business and every time I come, there's a different person, because there's a revolving door, because people don't stay with you. There's no loyalty. So it all kind of goes into, the great things that happen when you put people first.
Yeah, that's great. And how much do you think it is actual laws, legislation, and government intervention versus teaching business leaders? Because it seems like some of those aspects cannot be really changed unless you force something. And probably you're going to have a little bit of a backlash from one of the sides, political spectrum, if you try to do that. So what do you think about that?
Well, I'll take it this way. One, I take the stance, and we take the stance as a nonprofit, that relying on policies, procedures, and laws is not the answer, because it is too long of a road to create change. It takes too long. There's always something that's given up when you go down this path of, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to take these things away. I don't want to be in a place where we're trying to force more rhetoric. I want to see actual change happen. And when you get to human level and you deal with people and you say to Tom, who runs this business down the street from you, hey, Tom, I can help you stop that revolving door, keep more people, make more money, be more productive, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And you're going to be blown away at how you can make this happen and be more profitable in the long run. That takes a lot less time than trying to get a law passed. They've been trying to get a law which only has a 2% chance of being passed. In Congress, they've been trying to raise the minimum wage and just make this huge jump that they're going to raise the minimum wage. And it still hasn't passed. And it's still being argued. And it's still just cycling the drain here. So we're not worried about that. We're going to stay out of that arena. We're going to work on things and push where we know that we can have an impact. And that impact is one-on-one with individuals that understand the value of other human beings.
Yeah, and how do you think, how much do you think it's connected to social issues like inequality, like different races, genders? Do you think that has a huge role in it, or is it kind of equal between like different social groups?
No, I think, well, it depends on the social group that you're referring to, but as you start to whittle down and take the statistics of, let's say, a person of color, and then you whittle down, it's a person of color that is a female, then you whittle it down even more and you say, hey, here's a person of color who is a female who's in the gay community, or a person of color who is a female who is disabled, or on and on. You can add more and more things to this. Someone who's 60, over 50 years old. Ageism is a real thing. So as you start to add more qualifications and filter it down, yeah, there are huge numbers. That it gets even larger when you just filter in racial issues, people with disabilities, veterans that are that they're transitioning into civilian life, because they're coming from all different races, all different backgrounds, from the gay community, from non-binary to people that identify as male and female. It does not matter, where they stand. As you start to filter that in, more and more you'll see it's even harder for those people to make a living wage. So absolutely, there are huge areas of opportunity for us to make changes, not only in living wage, but pay equity. So when we talk about living wage with other leaders and companies, we're also talking about pay equity, because they really go hand in hand, and they are something that we need to be aware of, because that's where the change really starts to happen within a company.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. My concern is that you guys are on a very great mission. It's if it works out, and if you guys make that impact in all those businesses, it's gonna help a lot of people. But it's very hard to change human mind, like those business leaders who believe that the way they do things are correct and they will not change them, or it's like sometimes it's greed, sometimes it's other aspects. How do you guys tackle that? How do you guys fight that and try to change it?
When we started our website, we hadn't even gotten our 501c3 approval from the Internal Revenue Service here in the States. But we started our website. We only had 8 partners, and this was the end of July, beginning of August of 2022. Now we have 74 partners and growing, and we've had over 600 conversations with leaders. We have grown our communications. almost tripled the amount of people that we are communicating with, that our message is reaching, that it's resonating with. And that alone, the fact that we're able to get to so many people, we've grown our YouTube site from 12 to over 800, getting to more people to get the message that this is the right way to go. It obviously is working, and we're having a solid impact. We're seeing the impact and the changes within people, and we're seeing the changes within companies around us. And we're seeing more companies want to strategically partner and want to become sponsors and wanting to join us to stand up and say, hey, you know what? This is the way to do business. So, is it working? Is it slow? Yeah, it's slow, but it's faster than going the route of fighting for laws. And it is certainly having an impact not only in our area, but what I didn't realize is that we were having an impact in other states and other countries. So we've got 6 different countries that we're communicating with that are also partnering with us and also saying, hey, look, we believe in what you're doing. We want to align with this because we feel like this is something that we need to be doing here too. And that really makes a difference with us. And being on a show like this and being able to speak with you, how many more people are we going to be able to reach? And that outreach and that growth is what makes the difference, because people will listen and they will encourage others to make change.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. And you mentioned some numbers. Can you kind of go through them once again? How many companies have you talked to? Just like traction. I'm just curious. If you cannot share it, it's all right.
Yeah,
But
no. We are literally, when we put out our impact report at the end of October, we did it from, from where we had our 501c3 approval and became an official nonprofit to the following year. I believe it was 696 conversations with leaders. We had tripled the amount of communication that we were able to get out to the public. We had grown to having our podcast in our 3rd season. We had our Stand Up for Change live events going on, which were over now 30 events that we've had. We've continued. We're starting audio events. We're starting weekly conversations coming up, where we're going to be doing monthly and weekly conversations with our partners and other business owners to talk about how they approach change. And we've gone from having 2, 4, 6 businesses that are part of what we're doing to now having 20 businesses that are part of what we do, that are strategically aligned with us and partnering with us to create change, and 3 sponsors that have now come on that are business owners. So I mean, again, 74 leaders from all different walks of life in 6 different countries that are all standing up to say, this is the way. And this is how you can create business and still be profitable and put people first. And that's just as we're learning. We're just getting our feet wet in this, basically the first year. So imagine what we can do as we hone in our message and we get our mission, vision, and purpose out to more people. We're excited about what 2024 is going to look like, and we're excited about what beyond that is going to look like.
yeah, yeah, you guys are doing a very great job. And to be honest, I know almost nothing about nonprofits, about 501c3 thing that you did. Can you walk me through how did that go, and what is your business model? How do you guys fund yourself? Just an overview, so
Sure,
that
sure.
yeah.
So the first thing I would tell you is there's a lot of different versions of nonprofits. A 501c3 is a charitable nonprofit that is focused in on building change, and we stay out of the arena of fighting for legal battles, within the government. You can only do that to a certain degree when you're a 501c3. They monitor how much you are fighting and lobbying. So we don't do any lobbying. We do everything from a grassroots perspective. But a 501c3 is one of the hardest to get in the United States. It's a 42-page application that comes along with tremendous cost and time and effort, because you basically write a narrative, just like think of your thesis if you've ever, if you've been in school, or writing that huge report at the end of the year. So you have to give a 3-year budget. You have to give a thesis or a report, a narrative of what you're going to be doing, what the problem is, why you're going to be doing it. Complete a 42-page application online. And if you get any of it wrong, then they take your money and you have to start all over. So we're very fortunate that we did a lot of prep work up front. We had a lot of help to get there, and we were very intentional about honing in on kind of what we wanted to do. But what sets us apart is that we are tax exempt. So within the United States, if you give a donation to us, it is tax exempt. And we go through to different states. We have 12 states that we have registered our nonprofit so that we can actively seek donations from those states and from people that live in those states. And when we get donations, or we have people that are interested in us from other states, then we look at managing that process and seeing if we need to register within that state. Some states we are exempt because of the amount of money that we've raised in the first year of existence. Other states have different qualifications and require you to register before you start actively seeking donations. So we're trying to follow that. We're doing the best we can to keep up with everything in that regard, but it is a designation as being tax exempt. That's what it means as a 501c3. That's part of the benefit of that. It is very complicated. It's hard to get. Usually it takes months and months. We were very fortunate, like I said, that we were intentional about it. So it only took us 6 weeks before we got ours back, which is incredible. But I'm thrilled that that happened, and it let us really get on the ground and start running.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And about the business model, so from what I understand, it's all about donations and fundraising, or any other sources of income for you guys?
So there's 3 ways that we are moving forward. One, we have individuals that donate to us. We have companies that donate. We have sponsorships from companies that want to work with us to enhance their message and believe in our mission, vision, and purpose. One of our recent sponsors is Niagara Water out of California. We're thrilled to be part of them through their program, Niagara Cares. And then we look for grants, and the grants can be very lucrative. This next year in 2024 is going to be a big year for us as far as getting grants and really raising the bar on our fundraising efforts so that we can get Transformation Kitchen off the ground.
Yeah, sounds great. And yeah, I really respect what you guys are doing. And I'm really curious, how did you become the founder of this organization? What's your story there? How did you evolve kind of to this point so that you make this global change?
Well, it's interesting. I come from a human resources background by default because I fell into it. I was a service warrior, was a culinary guy, and fell into doing this because early on in my life, when I was at the end of high school going into college, I got addicted to drugs. And it affected my college studies. It affected me as a human being. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I liked myself, where I could look in the mirror and be okay with who I was. And that transition, while I was in the culinary industry, I was the friendly guy, even though I had a lot of demons myself. I was the friendly guy that other chefs and owners wanted me to teach other people. So by default, I fell into human resources roles where I hired, where I had to have tough conversations with people, where I had to train people. And I learned what that meant. And as I worked through my addictions and worked through my struggles as a human being, I got better and better at helping others because I was becoming okay with myself. So I was able to help others. I founded in 2012 a company called HR Consultations. Now, what I do with HR Consultations is only help social good entities. Those are people that, whether you're a nonprofit, an NGO, a B Corp, somebody who is giving back to the community on a regular basis and in a significant way. I only do process program work for those entities. But in 2019, I stopped working. I was doing it on the side. In 2019, I left corporate America to do it full time, not realizing, not having that crystal ball of it in 2020, the world was just going to blow up. And, so I saw a lot of things. I started doing pro bono work for other nonprofits. I started looking at that industry, groups that I was helping and watching some of the challenges that they had and seeing what was going on in my neighborhood and the places around me. I decided in 2022 that we wanted to create a different means to face this particular challenge. And that's how a group of us got together and founded hrforyou.org. And there really is that's really the story. I mean, it was about wanting to do more to help people to create actionable change and put a legacy for your generation and generations to come to have the ability to have a living wage and be able to take care of yourself and thrive and not worry about how you pay for things. And we've got to do that wherever at the start with teaching leaders how to pour into people.
Awesome. Yeah, you sound very determined. If I may ask you, what is your maybe life mission, your global goal, what you want to achieve beyond the things you're working on right now?
Oh, well, you know what? Honestly, I really I want to leave a legacy of change. I'd like to have for lack of a better term, a franchise of transformation kitchens all over the world where we are showing countries and governments and leaders everywhere how to put people first, how you can be successful with making living wage and your people a priority, and how we can tackle socioeconomic issues like poverty, food insecurity, having a home, and having a home insecurity, those things around us and building communities everywhere. That really is my goal. That is my mission in this phase of my life that I want to continue to do for as long as I'm able to do it.
Yeah, incredible. And I very respect that vision and that mission. And to close on, do you have any advice to like maybe young entrepreneurs or just men and women, everyone who want to make change or just to give some impact, leave some impact to this world?
I will say three things. One, do not be afraid to do things that are uncomfortable. Stretch yourself, learn and grow right where you are. The second thing, don't view failure as failure. View it as a lesson for how you're going to succeed. And the third thing would be don't quit. Don't give up. Never surrender.
Awesome. I do agree with all 3 points. I think it's very important for everyone, either it's an entrepreneur, a person who wants to make change, or just any human being who wants to do something good in life and help others. I think it was a great episode, Jason. Thanks for coming, and thanks for your insights and everything that you said.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.